I walk into your house.
Mm-hmm.
There's people around, and your wife, Sister Sandra, she's passed away, and she's laying there dead on the bed. All right, welcome to Love and War. I'm Marquis Henri. Today I have a very special guest on the podcast, none other than a man that we know as Bro.Alfred. And he's an important person in my life, and I think the reason why you've been, so important in my life for many reasons. But one of the reasons is without kind of having a father in a home for a certain amount of time in my life, I was able to see you in your marriage and watching you be married. And I believe you've been married in your previous marriage for over 30 years.
30 years.
And there's so much wisdom and knowledge. I remember I always asked you a bunch of questions and you would drop so much stuff about marriage, about a lot of things. There's a lot of people online talking about relationships and marriage and that. Half of them not even married. Half of them, I don't even know what's qualifying them. And I was blessed to grow up and see individuals, black men who have put in the time, done the work, take care of their families, take care of their responsibilities, just so much stuff. And you're one of the guys that I was able to see, what I'm saying, and to be able to admire. So, Bro.Alfred, give him a round of applause.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you guys have offered me to be here because I see a beautiful reflection.
Thank you so much.
Even when I thought about the idea, which was just a couple of days ago, I said, yeah, they're Dynamite couple.
I think I just called you out of nowhere.
Yeah,
You're in town,
couple.
so.
I just happened to be in town. Basically, you guys are to the letter of what I know and what I found to work.
Appreciate it.
So I'm glad to be here.
Shout outs to Nilam, my wife. I appreciate that. It means a lot to hear Bro.Alfred say something like that. Now, I want to give you guys some backstory right now. Bro.Alfred is, he had a previous marriage that lasted 30 years. And now he's in a new marriage that is 2 years. And this is a man who actually lived out his vows entirely because his previous wife, beautiful auntie, Sister Sandra, she's passed away. And the thing about that is we say in the vows, until death do us part. And we always looking for like purpose in our life. And I feel like you're a person who actually fulfilled a purpose.
Wow.
That you made a vow, you made a choice. For 30 years, you stuck on it, you moved on it, and you did everything. And when death finally did you part, that was how the move went. That's where, God brought it and you fulfilled that destiny.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Not to come into it, nice and cold and saying I don't want to be too harsh, but I want to go back to a area.
Yes,
if you're all right with that.
Yes, sir.
So I walk into your house.
Mm-hmm.
There's people around, and your wife, Sister Sandra, she's passed away and she's laying there dead on the bed.
Yes, sir.
When I went inside and I'm walking around, you guys kind of weirded me out.
Right.
You had an energy that was so, how many children do you have?
Six
children.
We had 6 children.
5 boys, 1 girl.
5 boys, 1 girl.
So she's there. He's literally like, your energy made everything okay in that moment. We all came to support you, and what ended up happening was you guys started to support us. We're there. You're like, go and viewer. Like, we had a viewing right there. And the way that you carried everything, the way I watched this man just hold his family up, everybody's energy was up, and you can tell they was all like, it was like a web that you was just controlling the energy, controlling the move. Can you just run us through that? Just what that was like.
Wow, brother, that's interesting. You took me to that. Man, she was under home hospice, right?
Yeah.
And so she knows she was going. And the thing about it is, she had been telling me for 6 months, Alfred, you are in denial. You need to make some plans. I just started making plans about 2 weeks before she passed away. Okay? I was still trying to keep her here. But what happened on that day was I got the word and I was taking the train back home. And when I got off the train, my daughter called me and told me she was taking the youngest boy, Salim, who was just 10 years old, to the hospital, take him to the park because it was really getting to him. And I'm thinking, So I passed by her, taking my little son to the park. And then when I got to the house, when I saw my wife's face, I said, oh, it's not Salim, it's my oldest daughter. She's the one having the problems. And so I had her bring him back. And so I had her to bring him back, and I picked him up, and I had him look at his mom. You see how peaceful she is? Because she had a smile on her face, man. you know. And so her energy filled everything
Yeah.
because the beautiful thing about us is that we talked about everything. We talked about it. We joked about everything. She wanted to try one treatment, which I wasn't with because, you know, my thing is, you know, I weigh the character of whoever's doing something.
Right.
And if their character ain't right, I don't care if they got $1 million in gold. You know, it's because it don't work. So anyway, we tried something and we both laughed. She said, that didn't work. I said, we shouldn't have done that, huh? I said, no, we shouldn't have done that. And we laughed about it. That's just how we were. We laughed. We talked about everything. She made it easy on all of us. My wife, I found out 2 years afterwards, she did a video that my children were passing around and for Celine to what to think about when I'm gone so you don't feel sad. You just think of Allah. And don't be, you know, I saw the video a couple years after. 2 or 3 years later, I said, what? She did this. She did everything to facilitate for everybody, right?
Right.
And she's on the video saying, you know, just smile, Salim, and think of Allah, you know, and then she tell her jokes because, you know, she liked to make people laugh.
Right.
Right. And so she did a similar thing like my dad did. My dad and my mom were married for 50 years. And he passed away of cancer at the young age of 69. But he made my mom mourn on his shoulders before he left. He talked about my brothers. I have 3 brothers, 3 sisters. They were 10 to 20 years older than me. So my dad was like 43 when I was born. My mom was 39. And so, but he would tell her, you know, hey, when I'm gone, get rid of bed, sell a house, whatever you do, because I don't need it.
Right.
You know, and so he did that kind of thing. And so when he had his funeral, the priest, because they went to the Catholic Church, he see a tear in the you know, among my mom, my sisters and brothers, because he made her do it. He said, no, we're going to talk about it right now. And he had a big meeting and told us, everybody, he had a tube in this thing. He said, I'm taking this thing out. I want y'all to know because, you know, I ain't living just to be some tinker up for some doctors.
Right.
If my time to go, it's time to go. I'm yanking it out. They don't take it out. And so we talked about that and he laughed. And so my wife did a similar thing. She did her rounds and was trying to facilitate in so many ways. So that was the energy because her and I, we did everything, you know. And the one thing that we did from the beginning, which was always my policy, is that, you know, when you marry someone, what's the thing that you're going to do more than anything? You're going to talk. So you want to marry somebody who you like to talk to and they like to talk to you.
Wow.
They love to listen to you. You like to listen to them. And the fact is, none of my children heard us argue because we didn't argue.
Wow.
When she got mad, I'm all ears.
Right.
When I got upset, she's all ears.
Right.
Never did no back and forth.
Right.
And if she get mad at something I did, let the children do, she go behind the door. Why did you so? They didn't even hear it. I said, what? Oh, okay.
Right.
You know, because my children would play this game.
Right.
Ask mommy this, ask daddy this. And then I say, yeah. And then she, wait a minute, what? Then I get on children. Boy, don't you ever come. If she,
you got her back.
She told you what to do, you know?
Right.
And matter of fact,
that's the vibe that always came from you guys. That
exactly.
It was you always had like a feather, like how you guys flew. You could tell that you were friends. Yes. And I think that was the biggest. When I would look, you know, as a child, you don't know. You don't know nothing. All you know is energy and what you feel. So I remember being around you guys, and I'll go, wow, they feel great.
Yeah.
You know, other people could tell me the right thing, but they don't feel right. It's kind of like you said about that doctor. You can have all this stuff, but if the energy isn't there, and you felt that from you guys. It was always a pleasant, vibe, always a pleasant feel. How is it? And I don't want to say how is it. I don't think that's the right question. Can you run us through some of the layers? And there's a lot of people. Think about since COVID, a lot of people have had a lot of loss,
right?
And in dealing with loss, you know, people have been trying to look for answers and different stuff for themselves, for how their children can deal with it. What are some of the things that helped you as far as the leader of the family to be there for your children and for yourself?
The thing about it is just being sensitive to one another's needs, you know what I mean? And always listening and paying attention. You know, the hardest time for me, because my wife was my number one confidant, right?
Right.
I'm an architect by profession. I do technical things, but I didn't need nobody that necessarily had that background or even, you know. But when I go home, it kept me sharp because I can talk a fundamental game here. And the fact is, how you win or lose in anything is about the fundamentals. It ain't the high-end technical. No, it's the fundamentals, right?
Right.
So, you know, I could get advice from her on stuff that I'm dealing with folks in the job and the business and different things because she had intuition, you know, and we were down at that subatomic level dealing with each other.
Right.
Know, I know what that is. That's so I was like, really? Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm good. I'm gone, right? And so, you know, so that's, I guess, that thing about, being able to talk to one another. And to me, there has to be, I mean, compatibility is very, very important.
Right.
You know, you can't, and like what I tell people is that it's just like, you know, like the shoe. It's got to be the right size shoe. You know, there's nothing wrong with the shoe if it don't fit you. You may not be the right one.
Right.
So, you know,
people nowadays, they just beat up on the shoes. Oh, this person is this. It's like, it just might not have been a fit.
It ain't even that. You may not, it's like, you know, I have, 4 questions that I came up with before my wife and I,
here we go.
In our courtship.
Brother Alfred's 4 questions for marriage. Hand them to us.
And in my second, I had to go back to them same questions.
Can you give us the questions?
I will give it to you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
See, the deal is that, you know, like in the Bible.
You said in your second marriage you had to go back to the
same question.
Oh my gosh, that's
go back
so
to the same.
Yes.
Because if you asked me from day one when we married, I could have told you how it was going to run down. I knew it was going to work.
Right.
Because the principles are just infallible.
You know what I love about that? So the thing that's unique about you is that if you would tell someone, oh, I was married, 30 something years ago, they'll go, well, that was a different world.
Yeah.
Your current marriage is 2 years now.
Yes, sir.
And so it's crazy how certain fundamentals, how they'll just work throughout time.
Yes, sir.
And to hear someone who actually had such a long, successful marriage, and then, you have your next situation, and in that situation, it's like, wow, I got to go back to these basics, back to these principles, and they're withstanding time.
Exactly. Because every fundamental principle, they're just like Allah, like God. Mm-hmm. They're infallible. They work in any season. You know what I mean? That's why we have to have truth, man. You can't build nothing else on anything but truth. So those 4 principles, first of all, it came from, though I came from a family where my dad and mom was married for 50 years, I'm coming out of college. I knew I didn't have a clue how to marry, how to choose. Yeah, and neither did my brothers or my sisters. Those that married, they got divorced and all that stuff. And so I know we didn't have a clue, and like you said, I looked at my parents, but that was from another time,
Right.
See, my dad was born 1912.
Woo!
My mom was born in 1917. They married in the 30s and, and had, 7 children. But my mom would count all of her children, even the ones that, that were miscarriage, wanted to live for 6 months because they lived down in Tennessee, not good health. So she'd note them too. So she had like 7 boys and three girls. She always counted them all. Right. And so anyway, but the deal was, I'm thinking that's another era, But so I was so in the dark. I came out of USC, degree in architecture. And man, I was like all beat up on the inside. You know what I'm saying? The relationships I had that didn't work out. So I knew I didn't have a clue. Right. So I had to study the man, Minister Farrakhan.
Okay.
He had a series called Male and Female Relationships. And he did 3 of them right here in LA. And I was at every one. I wasn't in the nation yet. And one particular brother, I studied that for about 3 years.
So you're not even like with the Muslims or anything. You're literally just...
At that time, I was just studying.
You're coming in, there's some guy speaking about literally about marriage, and it set you on a 30-year course as far as...
well, I knew about him because my brothers and sisters were in the nation part of 75.
Okay.
And I planned on joining, but I hadn't, At that time, that's what he was rebuilding. And so, but it was some things he said in that lecture. One, he talked about how a lot of times the female, is more emotionally mature than the man. And I spotted that in myself. You know what I'm saying?
But that's a certain kind of person who can spot that in themselves. Because nowadays we don't see nothing wrong with ourselves. So
and he talked about really about listening, and being a guide and And, you know, if God is not your God, how you going to guide somebody else? You know what I mean? And so all of that, man. And so, you know, and then so
God is not your guide. How are you going to guide somebody else?
How you if you're not guided, you can't submit. How you going to get somebody to submit to you?
Teach.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and he who rules in the family is right ruling. She may be right. You may be right. You go with right. Because where right is at, that's God is at.
Teach.
You know
Come
what I'm saying?
on. Right.
So, and I was going through the Bible and I read through stuff, man. And I ran across something that Solomon said. He had the question in Proverbs, who can find a good wife, right? He goes through all the descriptions of what a good wife is. You know, she basically gives honor to the man when she's going for her wares in the markets and all that stuff, you know. But my first answer was, you can't. It has to be given to you. You got to make yourself blessable so God can give that to you. So I quit looking. I just started working on me.
Teach.
Because how you going to marry your best self unless you coming out of your best self? We have a higher self, you know, and a lower self. You can marry because you like the TNA or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like I tell brothers, if that's the only thing you can see in a woman, maybe you're not the right one for her.
Right.
Maybe his, you know, got to be a brother. Maybe his mama was like that. His sister, that ain't tripping. You know, that kind of guy not going to trip on that maybe. So he can see the person. Right. You know, because if you can't see the person, ain't nothing you're going to work with. Right. So anyway, in all of that, I came up with 4 questions. I came up with 4 basic questions, right? And I figured basically you have to think these questions. It's not stuff that you necessarily ask, right? But you have to have it in mind, you know, and you have to sense that they're asking the same kind of questions, right? Right. Because starting off, if according to the scriptures, which is true, we are like they say, you know, born into sin, shaped in iniquity, right?
Yes, sir.
So that tells me. Basically, we all got problems. So ain't no perfect person. So if a person's looking at me all starry-eyed, they ain't looking at the real deal. You know what I'm saying? You know, and if I'm looking at all starry-eyed, you know, and I can't see no problems, that's not the real deal. Right. So the first question is, you don't know a person, you know, until you know what their problem is. They don't know you, you know, until they know what your problem is. President Kennedy way back was famous for saying, you know, ask not for what you can do for your country, but ask for what. No, ask not for what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Right. That's a principle because this man was real red, right? Right. If you come into anything, I don't care, marriage, friendship, business, whatever, always look for what you can do because anything you get is going to come out of gratitude from what you do. Teach. Not looking at what I'm going to get out of this. Right. That's blindsiding. Right. You know, and so basically, if you come like that, you're going to get blindsided. Right. So the first question is, you know, what is their problem? You know, and like I said, you have to sense that they're asking themselves that same kind of question. You know, and it's not something that you can necessarily straight out answer because maybe they wouldn't articulate it or couldn't articulate it, you know, or don't have, you know, quite have it in mind what it is. Right. But that's where your, you know, basic intuition comes in because that's where your love is based upon. You know, you have some sense of this person you plan to marry. Right. You got to have that intuition. That's the basis of love, having that little inner spiritual connection, right? Right. So that's the first question, right? Then the second question is, am I the right person to handle that problem? Wow. We got to be very serious. You know what I mean? Like I say, back with the story, you know.
Do you know how many people you could save if that just came right there, just if that dropped off in the...
That means you got to be honest.
With yourself.
You got to be honest. Matter of fact, you can't have anything, you know, if you're not honest because everything's based on truth.
I've done the fixer-upper thing where you're trying to fix someone. It's like you done lost so much of yourself and you're just like, okay, what did I sign up on? So I love that.
Yes, sir. So like I said, the second one is, am I the right person to handle that problem? Like I said, back to the TNA man, right? Right. You know what I mean? If that's all you can see in the woman, maybe you're not the one to handle that at all. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the second question, right? Then the third question is, would they let me?
Because will they let me? Oh, you are shooting right now. Bruh. Stop. Spitting. Will they let me? Oh my, that's one of the best things I think I've heard. Like,
Bruh, I was interested in some women, and I could see the problem, but I know they wouldn't let me because they got you in a box. You become just like a piece of furniture. You're supposed to sit over here in my life. Don't say nothing.
Right.
And don't you say a word, right?
Right.
Makes you a piece of furniture. You got this little plot because they think they got it all figured out. You can't do nothing with somebody who think they got it all figured out, and if you think you got it all figured out, you can't do nothing and nobody can do nothing with you.
Teach.
All right?
Teach.
So that third question is, would they let me? Because you can't, like my mom did tell me this. She said, if a person got a problem that you don't like, if you can't, she said like this, don't count on that changing, or you changing that. If you can't deal with how they are, and if it's such a problem, you better leave it alone because it's going to be there. You have no guarantee that's going anywhere.
Right.
People make big mistakes on that one, bro.
Yeah.
She'll change. I'll make him change.
Yeah.
No, you don't make nobody, because even God gives everybody free will. It's their choice.
Right.
You can't intercede nobody's free will, and nobody can intercede yours.
Teach.
It's will.
Teach.
What they will.
Come on.
So that's the third question. So the first question is, what is their problem? And like I said, vice versa. You think in both ways that they have to, since they're basically looking at you the same way.
So the first question isn't, because from what I'm seeing today, I thought it was ignore their problem.
Yeah.
So just ignore that there's a problem in the beginning.
Yeah.
So that later on we can argue about it all the time. Go ahead.
That makes the problem.
Right.
So the first is, what is their problem? Am I the right person to handle that problem? Yeah. And I found a lot of, no, that ain't me.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And third is, would they let me? Okay. And if they don't let you, ain't nothing you can do, bro. I don't care how much depth you see.
Right.
Then the fourth one is, would I love to handle that problem?
Would I love to handle that problem?
Yes. And if it's yes on all
Would
four,
I love
it's a go,
to?
baby.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
it's a go. That's the key, man.
Would I love to handle that
Yeah,
problem?
bro.
Man, you're teaching. That's
So, so let's say I was married for 30 years and then I remarried 5 years later.
I was gonna ask about that, like what that process, as far as when do you lose the guilt, or is it there? When do you feel like, oh, should I do this? Am I, how does that work out?
I had no guilt. 'Cause my thing
How
is,
long did she battle with the I think it was cancer?
man,
right?
yes, sir. It came up years earlier when my youngest son, Salim, was just about conceived. We found out she had cancer, and that's a story right there. And the doctor said it was the size of a pea. And then 2 weeks later, we found out she was expecting, and the doctor said she must have an abortion because she will live. She will not live. The baby will live because the cancer is estrogen based and all of that. And my wife said, even if she dies, she's gonna have this baby. Forget that. She'd been through something in her youth that she always regretted, having a couple abortions, before we met and stuff, and that always bothered her. And so,
Wow, that's a story right there.
Yeah.
Like some girls who this has happened, and then later on they're
Yeah.
like, I'll die on it,
Hell
or I have
yeah.
to go
So-
there again. Man.
So, but we found this Asian doctor, I wish I could remember his name, man, and he gave us some herbs, and he explained to us that in China, they're always having cancer because these big companies dump chemicals, in the river. So they had to find a way to deal with it. And he had a certain combination of herbs and things like that for us to take. And I had good insurance, and the insurance was about to kick us off, saying we weren't following protocol because the oncologist said, by the time the baby's born, it would be the size of a golf ball, and they were about to kick us off because we weren't following their protocol. So we went through the treatments and eating all organic foods, nothing but pesticides. And then after getting checked by the basic naturopath doctors, went back with the oncologist, he couldn't find a thing. And he said, well, you might as well have a baby. So Celine was born.
Go ahead.
And that's
Shout
why
out
she
to
named
Salim.
him
You're here.
Salim.
Your mom was a soldier for you, brother. Your mom's a soldier for you.
His name
And
is Peace.
he lived. She lived.
Yeah. He lived, she lived. And so, truthfully, years later, it started coming back because we had got away from just eating that pure. I mean, I was just, buying food at the best places we get for her, especially, right? And so, so it came back, and it came back with a passion, right? And so, and some things we both admit, we kind of got away from the proper dieting and all that stuff, and then the old stresses.
That's humans, right? It works. We're good, and then it kind of we get comfortable again. So it can't. You said it can't. How much longer after did it?
It was 10 years.
Oh, 10.
It was
Okay, we
10
gotta be
years.
clear. They did a natural service. They told his wife that she was going to die having her baby. They went on a natural path. Not only just had the baby, and then went on 10 years strong.
Right.
Because I remember too when there was no longer a threat.
Right,
Like I remember when it was like, oh, there's something, and then all of a sudden you guys it was like something of the past. So that's great to hear.
And when it returned, it came at the breast, and then she wound up having the breast removal, and that was really rough because that was the hardest time because when she did that, it's like, man, she told me when she had that operation, she felt like she wanted to run out the room and just kill herself. Right? It was rough, man, because you're taking part of it. And I can tell you, and we found people who had that and didn't do it, basically go through that, who lived a long time. Older women I knew who they grew their own stuff in the backyard, having that natural food, man.
Right.
And so when it came back, and it was like, and she had to have the mastectomy. I can't remember. That must have been 5 years later or something like that. And so we had the mastectomy done, and the thing about it is, she didn't want to do the chemo, because her mom passed with chemo, and she didn't want to deal with that.
Quality of life gets low.
Yeah, and so she never did the chemo. And what we both found out later is that once you cut the cancer, it starts spreading everywhere else. You know what I mean?
I see. Right.
It's like, because it's basically, it's basically, I can't think of that word. It's basically entrapped inside of a thick thing, but once you bust it, boom, it go everywhere. So that's what started the thing later on.
Right.
So but that was a difficult time because after that she was a strong medication. That was our most difficult time because my number one confidant, who I would talk to, I couldn't talk to her about because my number one worry was her.
Right.
I couldn't talk to her about that.
Right.
That was excruciating, man. I'm being pulled this way with children this way, and
gosh.
I can't. You know what I mean? But then I found this little old book called Cancer Husbands, and that first part helped me out. Called Cancer Husbands.
Cancer Husbands.
And it helped me to understand what I was going through. And it like nursed me. The first part of the other technical, I can deal with that technical stuff. But that book, boom, then we was on it, man. And so, because just the pain medications make you other than yourself.
Teach.
You know what I mean? And so, and she was angry about that whole thing, losing part of herself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, so anyway, we got on from there, and then a year before she passed away, she got a pain in her lower back, and we found that it had, so she did the radiation, but she would not do the chemo, right?
Right.
And so, because, basically the history of it, especially with her family. So, so it wound up spreading, and then a year later, it spread up here, even to the brain, but she was herself to the end.
Right.
That's the thing about it. She was herself to the end, man. I mean, we was just, and around near the end, I'm laying on the, sleeping beside her, not in the bed, because the bed was like a hospital bed that we had back there for her. I slept on the side, and so, she was just, help me. I said, what do you need? No, she was talking to Allah because she was ready. It's like, I'm ready. And then at a certain point, thank you. You know what I mean?
Was there a peace in the transition?
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. That's the thing about it, man. And the thing about it was because we talked about everything, we joked about everything. It's Nio, probably downstairs. It's like there was nothing left. It's like I have nothing to feel bad about. She had nothing to feel bad about.
Right.
Because it's like, basically, we were so truthful and honest with each other. It's like, it's because to me, a lot of grieving sometimes is because the person feels they missed something. something they didn't say or they didn't share.
Right,
That's
right.
where a lot of grief comes from.
Right,
man.
right,
I should
right.
have been close. I should have done this. That's where a lot of grief comes from, man.
Right.
You know, but you do your grieving when they're present, but we joked about everything.
Right,
My wife
right.
had this humor. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She had this humor, man. She joked. I mean, everything was on the table.
Yes,
Death,
that's right.
dying, what you gonna do? Who you think you gonna marry? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
We
right.
joking about everything, right?
And y'all had like a Jackson 5 kind of family thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You,
man.
because we've done a show. My group did a show with them.
Right.
The guy, look, boy, this big,
Right.
literally on the drums, going
my
crazy.
God.
His son's guitar, other son
See?
on the bass.
Yeah.
Daughter is a contemporary jazz
Yeah,
dancer. Like
yeah.
I'm talking one of the most
Yeah, man.
talented families you could ever run
Yeah.
across. Like this
Yeah.
next level. You know, in that regard. Not to cut you off, but
No,
just,
bro, but that came because see, my wife had both of us had gifts in the performing arts. I just didn't pursue mine. I was good at singing. I played a little saxophone in high school, but I was
Right.
singing group, band, all that good stuff in high school. But I went into architecture, and so and she had that thing. She's just a natural actress and stuff, man. And so the boys came together as a band when she was trying to put together a play. They didn't send her to play. And so she wrote one herself and she needed a band. So they just got together because they've been doing some stuff and caught other people and they turned it out. And that was the beginning of a band.
That's one of the most beautiful things to see with you guys, like just seeing everybody together. She shows up. His
man.
wife, she had such the best spirit. I promise you,
Yeah.
just such a beautiful, just great spirit, and it still reflects in the family. It still reflects in everybody.
Yeah.
Run us through the process of when it's time to start a new endeavor. So it's like, how does that work? I don't want to say how does the hunt go, but how does someone who is just like, okay, I just came out of something real serious. How do we start over again?
Wow, brother. Okay, well, let me tell you my journey. My thing was, okay, here I was, I was 62. I'll be 68 this month.
Look at this man right here.
Praise be to God.
Look at this man right here. Stop playing.
So, bro, and here I am about to be in a single trip, and then I learned, that's what that is. It's called what they call that? You're what's that word? A widower, right?
Right.
And so, basically, being married and being into my family, man, I've seen some bad situations, but it was like being on a bus going through a bad neighborhood, right?
Right.
But she was gone. The bus is going. I'm walking through the neighborhood, and I'm looking at folks. I'm saying, dang, man, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, they still tripping on stuff. They should have got out of their system in their 20s, man.
Wow.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I started talking to women around me who worked with me, and I'm saying, oh my God.
Back in the game.
Man, I was thinking about, damn, when I was in the nation, so I'm thinking, why did I decide not to marry nobody that wasn't into my beliefs? Only a few months of talking to folks. I know why.
He said, I ain't stepping outside of the mosque.
Yeah, so
But do you run into some? I don't want to say do you run a form of depression, but run through that when you see everyone and you go like that. Is it the first thought like I was just in something real and now I'm out here? How do
yeah, man.
How do you work through something like that?
It was depressing.
Yeah,
it was depressing, bro. And then and I found too, I didn't realize it that I went through a period where I was missing companionship.
Right.
So I was lonelier than I thought I was.
Right.
So you can tend to make mistakes in them things, what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you think that, it's like, oh, you do this, and then everything works. Like you're being very intellectual about it. Like,
right.
You do this, and then this happens. You know what I mean? And so
and life has a way of saying,
and
forget all
like,
that intellect.
Nah, man.
Right.
And so that's why I had to go back to my 4 basic questions.
Right.
Okay?
Right. That's
And
crazy
so,
to have something like that where it's
man.
like I'm out here, I'm trying, and then we go back.
But I was shocked, bro. It's like when you do wrong, man, it retards your development. It retards your development. When you do good, when you do right, it helps you to grow because you see things right, upright. And so, but when you're doing wrong, it retards people. So I found people doing some stuff that's straight retarded, man.
Right,
like
right.
40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, man. It's like, damn, y'all doing that? Like, it was insane, man. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. But I would tell people because I'm realizing, at the same time, I didn't know anything because I'm just new. It's like I don't have no I don't have no background in this. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was single in my 20s, man. You know,
Right.
I married when I was 31. My wife was 23. And it's like, man, I'm being straight with you. I ain't been with no other woman other than the woman I've been married to since I was 29 years old. So that's 2 since I've been married.
Wait a minute.
First and
You said you had never been with no other
No other
woman.
woman since I was 29 years old. Because that's how you make it.
That's how you
You
make
can't be
it.
playing. The children
They
can
say
focus-
does every man cheat?
Bro,
Well,
no.
we got one in front of you right now.
No,
Come
you're
on
a
now.
fool, because the bottom line is, if the parents can focus, the children can focus.
Teach.
That's why my children will focus.
Teach.
Because we can focus.
Teach.
It's simple as that.
Right, right.
It's just one beautiful song Chaka Khan said what really sums it up. I'm every woman that's all in me. That's for a man too. Anything that's in any woman, it's in all women, just in varying degrees. Anything that's in one man is in other men, just in varying degrees. You got to
Right.
get what works for you.
Teach.
Because Allah is plentiful.
Teach.
He's bountiful. Man, so to me, when I hear people talking about, back in the day, talking about it's a D thing, no, it's an ego thing, bro.
Teach.
It's
Yes,
an
sir.
ego thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the ego is like a little eye beside the big eye, which is God, which turns you into a little devil. Because
Right.
there ain't no God but God.
Right. Teach.
And so it'll have you thinking you all kind of things. And the ego, you're going to change. Or now you need this. Now I need this. Now I need. Now you're all over the damn place.
Right, right.
Because you ain't settled on no principles.
Right.
When you
Teach.
have principles, that's what they say. A man got to have balls. What it means is principles, bro.
Right.
Principles are irrefutable. They don't change.
Right.
And it
Teach.
keeps you basically going through the changes and being balanced.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, without that, it's nothing. It's like, if you're not upright, you can't think right. You
Right.
don't see right.
Right.
And so
Teach.
that's the whole key right there. That's the whole key.
Love that.
And it gains you the respect of people, man. You can't, it's like, I can't make everybody like me and love me. Matter of fact, I don't even want that, because some people only love you if they can play with you.
Right.
But I need respect.
Teach.
But you can get the respect even from a person who don't respect themselves. You just can't be so common. You know what I mean? Don't be so comfortable. Then they're going to get so comfortable with you that they're going to give you the disrespect that they get themselves.
Dang.
So you have to recognize, because if I'm upright and respecting myself, that's what I want. And if that's what I want, that's what I got to be.
Right.
Then I earn respect.
Right.
Then I can get something because I'm giving something, right?
Right.
But that's the whole key right there, bro.
That's beautiful.
It keeps you thinking straight. Like
Love that.
I tell brothers this, I tell sisters this. If a married man if it's a single woman going after a married man, you ain't even about the man, you a pawn in the game.
Right.
She's comparing herself to this woman to make her feel like, see, you ain't got nothing, I got that.
Right.
Because it's woman to woman. Same thing with a man going after a married woman it ain't about her.
Right.
It's about him and his ego.
Right.
Teach.
Teach.
That don't make you better. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
so it's a whole ego game that people go through, man. It's like,
So question.
Yes, sir.
Coming into that, and I love everything you dropping so much. I'm riding with you here.
Yeah.
You got children. And they're of age. They're like,
Yeah.
they're moving. You
Yes,
got
sir.
younger. You got actually a pretty wide, spectrum
15 to 33.
right now at this
Yeah,
point.
yes,
So now
sir.
let's go back a few years.
Yeah.
You got a daughter.
Right. That's
Who
right.
looks like her mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How does that work? You got the children, you got everybody. I'm sure there got to be complications that come in when it's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm about to get married again. I can imagine
yeah.
everyone sitting there going,
Yeah.
Dad, what are we doing here?
Right.
So how do you work through
Right.
that kind of?
This is what I share with my children, and it's that when one parent passes away, a lot of times that child, especially when they're older, they'll feel that, when I go see mom or my dad who's still alive, you just want to see them. You don't want to see another person, because that upsets my whole childhood perspective, right?
Right.
And so, but children don't realize, hey, mommy or daddy who survived got a life. You know what I'm saying? And you have other commitments and responsibilities in life, even beyond your children.
Right.
And so what I share with my children, I go over, is that throughout your life, you need to see the male and female dynamics of a mother and a father. Even if that ain't your mother, that's a figure. Because I learned that's what I learned from my own family.
Right.
I might tell my mother something, don't tell daddy. And get back to daddy.
Right.
My mother go, sorry, son. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes.
But my daddy at 23, he saved me from bad. basically a relationship that was not going to work for me. He told
Right.
me, I didn't even ask him. He just sit you down. So let me tell you something, you know. And so, and I said, no, that's not true. Okay, I'm just saying, I think you're going too far. You have to let that go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
He was right. But it's because of the conversation I had with my mom.
Right.
So I'm experiencing that today, even with my wife. My children have conversations with her. They do not have with me, but it gets back to me, then I deal with it.
Right.
With her children and mine.
Right. Okay. So she has children.
Yeah, she got 2 daughters, man.
Okay. Wow.
And so we work together beautifully, man. They appreciate me, I appreciate them. You know, and what we did during our courtship was we had to get together.
He said courtship, y'all. I'm telling you, stop playing.
We had a game night.
Yeah, a game
so
night.
you come over with your children, I'm coming with mine.
Yeah, have a game night.
Yeah,
Love
and
that.
one of my boys, he was in Charlotte. I wasn't there yet. I had a house I was leasing there, and we was out there, and we all playing a game with him on the computer and everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
To get to know one another.
Love that.
That's
Love
part
that.
of a courtship.
Teach.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, when I just saw children on video, I said, oh, they're going to like me, I'm going to like them.
Right.
Because we all had the same energy of nobody trying to hurt nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Teach.
So, yeah, but that thing is, it's that, you're asking the question about moving forward and then the connecting. Yeah, so like I said, I actually told my youngest son this, and my other children, you need to see those dynamics. Sometimes, 'cause if you don't have it in your life, you'll be missing something and not even know you missing it.
Right.
You gotta have that, because there's certain conversations you're gonna have with the mommy figure,
Right.
that you're not gonna have with a daddy. A certain perspective that man gonna have that you can't get from mommy. You
Right.
need them dynamics in your life.
Teach.
And it's helped out. It's helped out big time. It's helped her children. It's helped my children.
Right.
And it just rounds things out. And you see, man, because male and female is, you 2 halves of a whole. That's
Right.
just a fact.
Was there things in this marriage that you was able to be like, wow, now that I am kind of going at this again, I get to correct this in myself. Like, you know what I mean? And you don't have to say what it is necessarily, but how is that? Because people, one of my questions I usually would ask is, if you could go back, and talk to yourself when you was getting into marriage, what advice would you give yourself?
Right.
But it seems like you were able to actually go back again. So now you're, coming back in again, and it's like, what did you find in yourself? Besides, you had the 4 questions, so I guess that kind of, answers that.
Well, you know what? The thing about it is, and I'm going to get into another thing too, tied with that. See, when I was coming up, like I said, I had 6 brothers and sisters, and they were 10 to 20 years older than me. So I learned a lot from them, what to do.
Back in the day, they just had a lot of children, especially 20 years apart.
Right, especially what not to do, right?
Right.
So, I would tell my brothers, I'm not so smart. Right. I learned a lot from you, even stuff that you weren't teaching me, but so I can't say I just got it together like that. So I owe you.
Right.
I owe you, because I wouldn't know nothing.
Right.
So my children coming up, they didn't have that before them.
Right.
So there's some experience that they have to do. It's like, even with our beliefs, it's like, hey, it has context when you come out the world. So sometimes they go through that. But I'm missing one part of your question. There's a part of your question.
Well, just things that you was able to come back I get to come like this now.
Well, here's what happened. In relation to that question, in terms of looking at myself and what I would do differently, the fact is that when I came out, once my wife passed away, and then I started looking and meeting someone, I didn't know. I always look for, here's my bottom line philosophy. I look at everything in terms of like 3 hands, right?
Right.
These hands are in it. You know what I mean? My hands, the other person's hands, I don't care who they are. I don't care whether they're doing business, a person, whatever. My hands, the other person's hand, and God's hand, right?
Teach.
I'm looking for God's hand, because that's when I'm going to move on.
Right.
That's where I want to go. So in looking to marry again, I didn't know, what I was going to be, what does Allah, what's best for me in the sight of Allah. I don't know. Am I going to have more children? I'm going to do this or do that. You know what I mean? So I'm just being open. You know what I mean? So, so I was totally open.
Right.
Because I'm trying to find his hand, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing happened.
Was there a fear that you would never find no one again? Was it that, or you kind of felt?
No, sir.
Okay.
No fear, right?
Right,
You
right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what I would do is, man, I pray, you know,
Right,
and
right.
then I thank him in advance.
That belief
and
is
go about
just
my
it's
business.
real. Yeah, yeah.
I
Mhm.
said, you know, I pray for a proper mate and this and that, and I found she prayed the same way.
Right, right.
You know, and it's like, and then you know, it happens, man, because you don't find. You know, you draw it by who you are and who you are becoming and how you deal with these difficulties.
Right,
Now, if I
right.
came out there and went out there and became a hoochie coochie, man, it's
Right.
another story. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
I may be in a bar taking some drinks and these women, you know,
Right.
and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
just lost. Right.
That's
right.
what happens,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what I found is that, man, you know, different situations, different persons bring a different thing out of you. And I found, oh, wow. So my wife today, Sister Tawana, is like, we both say we found things in each other that, one, we didn't know we even needed.
Right.
We didn't think to ask for it.
Right.
Because
Right.
a lot, he says, yeah, I see you and I raise you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right.
hey, that's how he does,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And so we both found, man, stuff that we didn't even know we needed. And so that's how he does. You do good work, I'm gonna put you up here on this level.
I love
You
that.
know, and so, and that's what we find, man. And the thing about it is, there's always work you got to do when you marry. You know what I mean?
Right.
To me, one of them things, back to the beloved Minister Farrakhan, he laid out this lecture I can never find again. He talked about the role of a husband. I was listening to before I was even married, and he talked about he's a husband and he's a savior and all these things. And in both instances, it was things that I helped them to see and understand, to
Right.
get out of situations and about people and this and that. And then the love comes out of gratitude and just in talking. in
Right.
courtship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Using basic principles, man,
Right,
you know,
right.
and just having an ear to listen, you know, and so you get something, you know, and it's just talking, you know, because like I tell you, I'm so, you know, I was blessed by teacher Elijah Muhammad, Ms. Liz Farrakhan.
Teach.
Elijah Muhammad said something that got me straight in my 20s. He said, that which attracts you is for your wisdom, not for your sport and play. So when you study what attracts you, you know, sometimes it's just a word that needs to be exchanged. You know, you don't come together physically unless it's a lifetime commitment, man, because you messing with the seed of a person's being.
Teach.
You don't
teach.
play.
Right.
You
Right.
play with his women a lot. He ticks you off, man. You know what I mean?
Teach.
Take you off his list. Might let you go to jail and lock the key, man, because he's serious about his women. You know, and the fact, Mr. Farrakhan said, it's not your woman, it's God's woman. It makes you act better when you know who it belongs to, who she belongs to. If it's
Teach.
mine, I might do any damn thing with it.
Right. Right.
So I got that stuff out my head.
So much jewels, so much wisdom like that you drop. I want people to know, like, you know, I feel like in my life, I like people to see people who have had influence, on,
Yeah,
you know, and,
yeah.
and I think, you know, I thank God. I think I've been doing good with this marriage thing,
Yeah,
but
bro.
it's been so important to see just individuals
Yeah.
who do that. And I've been exposed to so many men, so many black men,
Mm-hmm.
you get what I mean? Just so many black men who have really held it down, have done a lot. And I
Right.
think I always say on every podcast, I just think it's important for people to know that the Alfred exists,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because there's this thing happening online where people are making up stuff. They're making us
Making
look
up
like we
crazy
don't,
stuff.
like, yeah, like we're not who we are. Like our women are not who they are, you know, and it is just kind of like it. And then what happens is people go, there's so many podcasts on love and stuff that
Yeah.
people literally are
Yeah.
like, I'm sick and tired of podcasts and I'm sick and
Right.
tired of hearing about love.
Right.
And I'm like, no, don't get tired now.
Right.
Because you don't let everybody who don't know
Right.
what they're talking about talk.
Right.
Let's
Right.
start bringing out some people who actually, you
Right.
know, have been, you know, actually been living by
Right.
it and actually holding it
Right.
down and doing what needs
Right.
to be done.
If it ain't, you know, I came up with a saying, if it's not good enough for my future, it's not good enough for my now.
Teach.
So I'm not gonna waste your time.
Right.
You know, and I can tell not just by you. Basically, I can look at me and my approach. What's on my mind?
If it's
You know
not
what I'm
good,
saying?
if it's not good enough for my future, it's not good enough for my now.
Yeah, you know.
Does anyone even think about the
They
future?
don't think like that. You know, and then when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with women, it's
That's a
like,
bar.
Look at it full circle. You got a full circle. Okay, would I want somebody to treat my mother like that?
Teach.
My sister like that.
Teach.
My daughter like that.
Teach.
Would I want somebody to do that to my sister, my mother, my daughter? If no, don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Don't do it.
Because, bro, you save yourself so many problems and so many, you know, backlashes in other people's lives that you got to pay for.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I throw you off, I'm throwing me off. You know what I'm saying?
Teach.
So, you know, that's how you qualify yourself so God can bless you. Because you're not going to find. You got to be blessed with that, man. That's the bottom line.
Right.
That was my answer to Solomon. Who can find a good wife? Nobody. You got to qualify yourself, man.
Woo! Who
Same
can find
thing with a woman.
Who can find a good wife? Nobody.
But
you got to qualify yourself.
Right. You got to qualify for what you want.
Teach.
You know? Basically, you have to learn to do things that if you saw somebody else across the street function like that, you would say, hey, man, that's a good brother. That's a good sister. You better do that. Then you're going to say the same thing about yourself, and somebody will say that about you too.
So you're the person across the street now.
But
they'll look at you and say, oh, that's some...
Man,
and I bear witness to that. That's what happened to me. You know, I had been in the dating world doing all this stuff, and then when I just started working on me, all of a sudden... My wife, my friend is right here, and then she becomes my wife.
That's
it.
It's
funny. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
Because I hate to hear that, like when people say, I'm saved. That's an arrogant statement. You know, I am a savior. Come on, man.
Teach.
That's a process.
Teach.
If you ain't the judge and determine it, how can you say you anything? You in process.
Teach.
You know what I'm saying?
Teach.
So, like when people say, I ain't found the right woman. I ain't found that. As if you right. That's crazy.
You've been finding yourself.
That's but
you've been finding the right person who you are, mirrors of who you are.
So it's like, that ain't real, man. That ain't real. Because that's an arrogant, like, I've arrived. I got to find. No, man. You got to become, bro.
Teach.
Because when you are ripe and ready, not only do you have a problem, nature got a problem. And it's going to answer this problem.
Teach.
So, you know what I'm saying? So that's what happens. So when you qualify yourself and you up to that point, it happens, man. It has to happen because it's more involved.
Right.
Because when two beings get together and you right, your conversations are right. Not just between you, but your conversation towards one another.
Teach.
So you're sharing certain things. That changes the chemistry in the air, in the earth, in the atmosphere, everything. Thoughts affect everything.
Teach.
So when two people are right, man, they're going to find each other.
Right.
That's how it happens, man.
That's how it happens.
And so, you know, and then you will always be surprised with what you keep finding over in another aspect in one another. Just you keep on discovering that happened to me in my 30 years of marriage. That's happening to me right now.
And you're proving it in your
Praise
life by, you know, being a person. The older someone gets, the harder you would think it is for people, you know, to come into, especially come back in this modern game.
Right.
So the fact that you stick to principles, you stick to your foundation, it shows that I could make it work in any time.
Yeah.
At any age.
Yeah.
Come
because
on.
you can discern, man, what's real and what's not. Because a lot of people playing, man. It's like, whew, there's some bad habits you can get into, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what still shocks me to the day. It's like, man, you don't know. It's like, just like I remember my wife, you know, passed away, Sandra. She told me when she was like 19 years old, she was out there partying, and then she saw these folks in their 30s, and she said, dang, you're supposed to be getting that out your system now, not at 30. So she made her mind up. Right. That ain't going to be me.
Oh, and today?
So, bro, oh my
And today,
God.
you got to think, there's so many ways to still stay social now.
Yeah, man.
You know, back then you had to find a party. Now it's hard to avoid a party nowadays. Man. So if that was the case in the situation from back then, it's even harder now.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like that you proved that if you stick to certain principles, don't come at me about the times. Oh, we're living in this and that, the other. Well, you be solid. And when you be solid, you'll attract that, you know, because water finds its level.
Yeah. Serial daters, man. How long you been doing? 6 years? Well, he going to marry somebody. He ain't going to marry. And they be 10 years. They be spinning around. Now he with this, now he went back to this. Old ass men playing some young ass games.
These games that we're playing, I've noticed that these games that people are playing in their teenage years, I've noticed people are playing this in their 30s.
God. In their 40s.
The big homie is telling us it's happening in their 60s. So
in their 70s too, man.
Get it together because at 70, people are still kids. So it's
my God. If you
wow.
don't do right, you don't grow.
Teach.
You stay stupid.
Teach.
Do stupid stuff. It's just like what I would tell my children is that two things, you know, no age group has a monopoly on: wisdom and foolishness, right? Woo. You can get old.
No age has a monopoly on
wisdom or foolishness, right?
Right.
You can just be an old, but basically the only thing the age does is season. You can become a seasoned fool or you become seasoned in your wisdom. it seasons you.
It's kind of like if you're training and you keep training punching the wrong way.
Yeah.
The longer you do it, the more you're ingrained in the wrong way of fighting. So that makes sense.
Even in business, I had business people before I had my gray hair, and I'm hiring them to go get work, and they lying their tail off. And I said, man, I can't even keep up with you saying. I mean, people going, yeah, I signed that contract, but I can't. It's lying, but we get the money. I got to get rid of you. But some people, they like the lying story. So that's a seasoned fool.
So I want to give you this. This is my last question.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I'm got to bring Brother Alfred back on. Stop playing. But I just got to let you know. Let me tell you something. I've always been wiser beyond my years because I talk to wiser people all the time. And I always like sitting down. It's just that simple. Hey, so how did you that? Oh, whoa, you're making money. So how did this? And it's just all of a sudden you start to grow and you start to become something. And I always bear witness that if there's any good in me, a lot of it is the reflection of these type of conversations. And I feel like I'm honestly being selfish by just doing it alone. I just feel like I'm wise enough to go and ask.
Right.
So why not say it in front of people? So I've been married for 13 years now.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
You, Nilam.
Yeah.
You're my one. Or my three.
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, see, this is a fool and this is a wise man. All right? But so at 13 years, with you having that 30 years of experience,
right?
What can I look for coming into like that 15 year, that 20 year? What change? What happens? What's different in those? I know that's a big question to ask or whatever. You can go both ways. You can say you either look for this or here's some advice going into like that 15-year mark, even that 20-year mark. Or is it all just the same?
Man, people are infinite. And like I said, like that beautiful song by Chaka Khan, what's in isn't all right. You know, it keeps unfolding, man. You keep on discovering and it's always joy.
Right.
It's always joy, man. I was listening to, me and my wife was just talking about, you know, somebody said, oh, well, y'all still in your honeymoon stage. You know, y'all just, you know, you ain't telling nothing bad. Ain't nothing to damn tell. You know, like I told brothers before, you know, when I was married, you know, my wife passed away. Women gonna talk, right?
Right.
But if you are good, she gonna sing your praises.
Teach.
But if you're doing something wrong, you can't stop them from talking. Women supposed to talk. They're the most social beings. They gotta be social.
They didn't hear you. Hold on. Let me say that again. Women are gonna talk anyways.
Yeah. You can't stop that.
What are they talking about?
Yeah.
Are they talking good or are they talking bad about you?
Yeah.
Stop playing.
It's got to do with what you're doing.
Teach.
You know what I mean? Because women gotta be social, man. Women are naturally social, man. They gotta be girlfriends, man, because they've only had to depend upon themselves with men being knocked out the box so bad. They supposed to talk. They gotta talk. You know? And so, but if you are, it's like my whole game I played from day one with my wife who passed away, her natural state was happy. Right. All I had to do was not nothing to make her not happy.
Her natural state is happy. All I gotta do is not get in the way of that.
Hell yeah.
Teach. Come
That's
on.
all I gotta do, man.
Yes.
I don't make her happy. That's her natural state. That's any woman's natural state.
Well, I'm gonna end on that note right there. I think that because you know us, we'll sit down. You know what I mean? We'll go forever, and we'll continue to talk whatever. But I want to make sure that I save some for later with everybody else. I just want to say that it's an honor to have you here. You know I love you. You know I love Auntie Sandra, Sister Sandra, and just you know her vibe, her energy is still here. Shout outs to your wife right now, Sister Tawana. Yes. And you know she has a business that she's running. I'll put the link in the bio for everybody to catch that or whatever, because they still make their money. Stop playing with a real one. But I just wanted to say here's our proof, and you can say it, brother. Like was not 30 years, didn't cheat.
Damn right.
Fulfilled.
No.
He said, "Damn right."
Right.
That's a black man right there.
Hell yeah.
Fulfilled his vows. So death do us part. He actually did it. He actually had a marriage and fulfilled that marriage. I just want to say thank you, Almighty God Allah, for allowing me to even have these type of black men in my life. We appreciate you and we love you.
Thank you, sir.
This has been Love and War Podcast with Big Brother Alfred. I'm Marquis Henri. Till next time.